Today, we become legends.
So it's been a while since I did my last custom OP God video, that being an ADC with some absolutely ridiculous basic attack synergies. Check out that video if you haven't already, link below. But today I decided to venture into the lands of support and create the most OP Guardian of all time from existing abilities in Smite. As always, any abilities used must be in the same slot as our new god. If it's someone's 2, it's our 2, if it's someone's ult, it's our ult. Any mechanics that exist outside of the specific ability within the home kit of the god will be classed as absent. So if we want sets 1 for example, we don't have sets 2 to spawn any clones, and so it's pretty useless. However, if the entire effect is within just that one ability, it will work. Stand switcher abilities are allowed but come as singles, not a pair, and actual stand switching abilities like Artio's ult or Tiers 3 are banned entirely for the sake of my sanity. If you are looking for an OP custom stand switcher though, I have a video on that as well. To keep things interesting, I'll be imposing a limit of 1 ability per god so we don't end up creating something similar to an actual god but with like 1 or 2 changed abilities. And finally, any power type issues we'll just assume are converted to the power type of the god we're making, in this case magical since it's a guardian. But without further ado, let's create the most OP support / guardian Smite has ever seen. So first up, we need a passive. This decision is a pretty crucial one as often passives define what the rest of the kit will be built around. Passives also have the most variation in terms of how good they are in a vacuum. A lot of passives become utterly useless when removed from the host kit, while others become even better than they were originally. This often happens when you take an ability from one class and put it into another. Think Ymir's Frostbite passive on any ADC, it'll be broken. So my considerations for the passive are Nike, Jormungandr, Danzaburou, Clearna, and Umoja. Nike would provide passive stats to the team. This one used to be significantly better, but it has been nerfed quite a lot. Yorm would provide immunity to a lot of CCs that can prevent you from peeling or engaging. Danza has the bonus gold passive. Stacking this on top of a support starter item could make for some insane economy, and you'd likely outfarm your own team with this combo even as the support. Cleo simply for the movement inside walls. Your other abilities probably wouldn't be usable from walls since that's a specific mechanic within her own abilities, but the ability to just go into a wall would still be very powerful. And finally, Umoja's Omi passive is just insane and a lot of the reason she's permanently busted. The only thing stopping me from insta-picking this passive is that we don't have Umoja's ult for that extra Omi generation, but it's still a very good passive for any support. So while Danza was in strong consideration for the hilarious economic plays, I think overall Umoja's Omi allows for the most broken synergies, and even without the ult, which is a major part of her Omi regeneration, I still think this is the best passive option for us. Alright, so with Umoja's Omi passive locked in, let's move into our basic abilities, starting with the 1. So I'll be frank here, the first slot was by far the weakest for a Guardian, as many of the first abilities in the game are some form of line or circle damage with maybe some other small effect on top. Naturally, those sort of abilities aren't that good on a support. However, there were a few solid options to pick from here. Janus, Sobek, Jingqian, Ymir, Ares, and Amaterasu. The first thing to note here is that for the rest of the video we have to consider how broken a certain ability would be when you can spam it 3, 4 or even 5 times in a row using Umoja's Omi system. Which by the way, I'll be using the Omi numbers as from her base kit, so the first slot takes 2 Omi whereas the second and third ability slots take 3. The ult of course costs none to use and will have an actual cooldown. So Janus' portal is a really strong contender here since this slot only costs 2 Omi, meaning at level 20 when you have 10 maximum, you can cast 5 consecutive portals and pretty much travel the length of the map if you really wanted to. Or you can do a makeshift Janus ult where you transport your whole team through 5 different portals by spamming it on the same wall several times. Sobek's 1 is just here as a great engage tool, plus being able to do this multiple times in a row could be absolutely devastating to a backline. Jingqian's 1 is really interesting since it provides up to 50% reduced basic attack damage on its targets, meaning a simple double cast of this at level 20 makes any ADCs or other auto attack gods essentially useless for 4 seconds. Plus this does % max HP damage up to 14% per cast, which is solid for burning down tanks with several casts of this. Ymir's wall would allow for some of the most disgusting zone control you've ever seen with up to 5 walls available at once, though because of the way the ability works you would have to bring down the first wall before casting another one. Ares 1 just deals ridiculous damage and lasts up to 8 seconds, meaning you could basically perma cripple and slow your enemies using our Omi passive. And finally, Amaterasu's 1 would allow hot swapping of the auras whenever you need, and a solid healing boost to boot. So this one is mostly a competition between Yanis' Portal and Jing Chen's Furious Roar. Both are really powerful for different reasons, and while completely negating an ADC for 4 seconds sounds hilarious, I think Portal offers way more utility as it can be movement, engage, peel, and damage all at once, so Portal it is. Alright, so with your Moja's Omi system and Yanis' Portal selected, let's pick up our second slot ability next. My considerations here were Athena, Bacchus, Gilgamesh, and Khepri. So for this one, I wanted to snag a primary CC ability that preferably also combos with Portal, but I also threw in a wildcard with Khepri as that has some really strong synergy with Omi. Athena's taunt is already one of the best CCs in the game, and being able to taunt enemies to group them up, then throw them all into a portal sounds hilarious and also very powerful. Bacchus' belly flop works in much the same way, portal enemies and then flop them. You could also flop and then portal, whatever floats your boat really, since neither of these CCs will DR each other, whereas Athena taunt would, so you would need to portal second on hers to get max value. Gilgamesh dropkick, again, similar reasons to the previous two entries. Portal guaranteed sets up a dropkick into a wall, and if you portal multiple people, you can just dropkick the group into each other for the stun. Also, if you're a quickscoping MW2 intervention user, you can try portal and then kick people into it for funsies. And finally, Khepri's 2 is strong for different reasons to these other 3, that being you can stack the damage mitigations from his 2 by casting it multiple times using Omi. It would cost 3 Omi out of 10 max, so a triple cast is the maximum you'll be able to get, but that would give all allies 90% damage mitigation for 3 seconds, and any enemies hit would take a 75% prot reduction. Pretty strong, especially for burning objectives. So this was a close one, but I think overall Athena's taunt is the strongest choice here. Not only does it combo with the portal really well, it's just a great ability on its own, everyone knows that. Grouping up enemies is always going to be a strong effect, and the fact that you can do that, then follow up with portal to set up your mage's ult or something, this 1+2 combo is going to be the core CC chain of our god, and that's the reason I picked this over Khepri 2, which is also pretty busted. But with Omi, Portal, and Confound selected, let's pick up our final basic ability, slot 3. So we have a lot of the core engage and peel sorted already, and slot 3 is more available for any kind of utility or filler effects to make this kit even stronger. A lot of third abilities are movement of some kind, and we already sort of have that covered with Portal, so we do have somewhat limited options here, but limited doesn't mean weak by any means. My considerations here are Kabrakan, Iset, Geb, Ra, and Ymir. So as mentioned, all of these abilities sort of cover different support aspects, and we can pick and choose based on what we need in the current kit. Kabrakan's 3 wouldn't cost any mana regardless of how long you channel it, it would just cost 3 Omi at the start and you're done, making for some insane wave clear potential, and with Tremble now being a soft CC, it won't even DR itself. Iset 3 is just a really strong supportive ability in general, providing a bit of extra CC that you can use in the Portal and Taunt combo to extend your lockdown. It also gives major shields to you and your team, and debuffs enemy magical procs, which considering this is a Guardian, it would be magical. Geb 3 is just... I mean, yeah, do I really need to say why 0 cooldown Geb shields will be broken? This goes a different route than the previous 2 options, but is just as powerful. Ra 3 could stack up multiple heals on the same spot and effectively heal for 150 plus 30% scaling per tick on the whole team, pretty damn good. And finally we have Ymir Freeze, which I thought I'd include as the overkill CC option, one of the best slot 3 CCs in the game for sure. So as I said, each ability here brings something uniquely powerful to the table, and any of these selections will be OP as all hell, and they each take the god in a different direction. If we go for Ymir Freeze, he becomes a broken CC machine. If we take Kabrakan 3, he becomes a high pressure aggressive Guardian. If we take Ra 3, he becomes a pretty OP healer, Geb Shield, he becomes the ultimate peel support, and similar with Iset 3. Overall though, it's pretty hard to pass up on Geb Shield here. At a cost of 3 Omi, you can cast 3 shields consecutively at maximum, 3 CC cleanses one after the other, and a total of 1650 HP in shields. No one is getting through that, plus this enables Geb shielding both backliners, whereas normally you have to choose between them. The one downside here is that our god now has absolutely trash wave clear, the best they've got is Portal into Confound, which is not good at all. However, I think with them being designed as a support, this would be okay, and you just mainly suffer in the very early laning phase section of Duo. After that, you should be fine. Alright, so with Omi, Portal, Confound, and Stone Shield, all we have left now is our ultimate. Quick reminder that the ult isn't affected at all by the Omi system and functions as normal. Also, the one ability per god roll disallows us from picking your Mojo ult to get that regen back. So the first category of ults I considered are just going to be lumped together because they perform the same function. Big AoE CC ultimates. Here we have Bats, Sylvanas, Amaterasu, Ares, Daji, and Chang'e. Each one of these provides different benefits. Some of them, like Daji and Ares, group enemies up for follow-up CC chains from Confound and Portal, while others just do big AoE CC like Bats, Sylvanas and Amaterasu. Chang'e is here specifically because we have a great way to group up enemies within the kit for a multi-man Chang'e stun. Of these, I'll pick 2 for actual consideration, Chang'e and Daji. Along with those 2, we also have Khepri ult, Terra, Olorun and Hera. So Chang'e, as mentioned, can potentially stun for up to 5 seconds by grouping enemies up using Confound. Daji can group enemies up for follow-ups and also buy time while on the powwow for Omi regeneration. Khepri ult is probably overkill given we have on-command Geb shields already, but it would make your allies basically immortal in combination with Stone Shield. Terra ult is just a really good supportive ultimate. Olorun ult, again, is just crazy good and also will help with hitting raw portals, peeling for allies and buying time for Omi. And finally, Hera was a sort of wildcard choice from me. Argus won't get the shield benefits because we don't have Hera's 3 and no reduced cooldown since we don't have her passive. But he would still function and it could help solve the lack of damage this kit has, since if you can get an Argus out and swinging, it should help with that. Plus, it's just a giant AoE knockup that can be used in the CC combo. So before we make our final ability choice, quick mention to Chronos ult, which arguably would refresh your entire Omi bar back to 10 since it resets all your cooldowns and CDR is how you get more Omi regen. A full cooldown reset should probably mean a full Omi bar, but since that's a pretty big stretch, I decided not to include this as an option. So I think in the spirit of this kit we've made, I have to go with Khepri ult. While it might make more logical sense to get something with damage or more utility, having access to 3 stone shields and Khepri ult is just hilarious. I don't think any god gets through that much health ever. So that's our full custom Guardian. Yamoja's Omi, Yanis' Portal, Athena's Confound, Geb's Stone Shield, and Khepri's Scarab's Blessing. This god has pretty much everything you could possibly need from a supportive design. A powerful CC chain for engaging and peeling, arguably the best shield in the game, and the ability to snatch your allies' lives back from Hades using Khepri ult. Not to mention, all of those basic abilities can be cast in rapid succession with no cooldown due to Yamoja's Omi system. Let me know what you think of this god down below. Is it ever beatable, or do you think it's literally impossible to kill a backliner with this guy around? Which class should I create an OP custom god for next? I've done an ADC, a stand switcher, and now a Guardian. Leave your suggestions down below, and I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.